SPA as well in recent days, and they have chartered, I guess, their plan to govern the country for a 4-year transitional period to usher in, I guess, peace and accountability, followed by general elections. So they've been extremely important from this, I guess, organizational point of view, as you suggest rightly as well. They've been vital from a societal point of view. I mean, these protests are much more than about just organization. They're about bringing people together, Sudanese unity, creating this sense of a unified Sudan, peoples from all over the country, any ethnicity, any age, religious affiliation as well, and to bring everyone together under this broad grouping, and we've seen that on the streets, and how much it's been as much of a cultural and social phenomenon as it has been a political one. So this union group has become politicized, and is now an extremely prominent actor in mobilizing and continuing to mobilize the streets, but also pushing for civilian change and leadership within the country. What we have, I think, is still a very horizontal structure within the SPA and within more broadly the Forces for Freedom and Change, and while it's become a very coherent political force, I think it still needs time to establish transitional plans, and we still need to see more clearly an outline of its political leadership structure, and solutions during those transitional plans for the economic crisis that we talked about, as well as some other issues. So demands are being made by the SPA in their negotiations with the Military Transitional Council, but there are still questions about the Forces of Freedom and Change, and how we can move forward in terms of a civilian-led administration in the country.
A final word, if we may, about the prospects for Islamist groupings. Will the NCP try to rebrand? What does it mean now to be an Islamist politically in Sudan?
I think for the Islamists, it's a very difficult time, but I have no doubt that they will continue to play an important role in the country. What we have seen, we talked about members of the previous regime, and there being strong calls for party ideologues to be detained and to be tried. What we have seen is the former ruling party, the National Congress, coming out today, I think, in strong support of the military council, claiming to have played a pacifying role in restraining its members, and also enabling the transition to new dispensation. I think ultimately saying that they want to be part of the political discussions that are going to take place in the country moving forward. I think this will be very difficult for the National Congress to do. But of course, there is a much broader spectrum of Islamists in Sudan than simply the National Congress Party, and many have left that party beforehand. There are others, that are important individually, and have their own parties. And there are, I think, what I'm trying to say is there is a broad spectrum of Islamists and Islamists who have been working for reform and change in the country as well, and they will need to be included in the new dispensation moving forward in Sudan, because otherwise the alternative is externalizing Islamists, is to create another enemy, perhaps overseas, one which has the intention of causing trouble in Sudan, and that could lead to further problems in the country. So I think there is an opportunity now with reflection for perhaps a bit further down the line, for thinking about, what role reformist Islamists are likely to play in the future dispensation.
And I guess there are now, whereas in the 1990s that conversation might have been quite difficult, now, given what we've seen in Morocco with moderate Islamists in the government, plus what we see in Tunisia, there might be more space for that kind of conversation. Would that be fair to say?
I think there is space for that kind of conversation. It needs to, their grievances do need to be aired, and I think that there does need to be some retribution in terms of providing for justice and accountability. But I think there also does need to be some recognition about the broad and plural nature of Sudanese political space, and if this is to be a truly inclusive process moving forward, in terms of providing and achieving a genuine, legitimate, civilian-led government moving forward, there does have to be that space created for alternative voices as well.
That's all for this week. I hope you enjoyed that extended conversation into what is a fast-changing situation. If you like the pod, do give us a review. It helps others to find the show. See you next week, and thanks for listening.